A man on a mission, Isaac Melcher rode into the familiar streets of Philadelphia, glad to see them little changed, despite his absence of nearly 6 months. He was in a familiar role, but on the largest stage he had yet inhabited, carrying dispatches of the progress of a crucial undertaking. But this time, instead of bringing them to Colonel Arnold, he was to deliver word directly to Congress itself. If it were good news, the job would be a pleasant diversion from the grinding hardship of the past months. As it was, he feared that all of the terrible sacrifices borne by the expedition under Colonel Arnold's brilliant leadership would be forgotten in the disappointment that was sure to follow the delivery of the news he carried. The loss of men was expected, naturally. Everyone signing on to follow Arnold from Cambridge had known all too well that their number would be thinned, whether by British bullets, accidents, or privation on the journey northward to Quebec, or that perennial killer of soldiers since the first invention of warfare, ignominious disease of one sort or another. Less expected were the incredible conditions that 1,000 men had been forced to endure as they traversed the untracked and brutal wilderness from their landing at Kennebunk on the untamed shores of the northern portion of the Massachusetts Bay Colony, all the way up to Quebec. With a forceful effort of will, Isaac pushed aside the sour memories that threatened to overwhelm him and focused on picking his way across the beautiful cobblestones of his hometown to the hall where Congress was meeting. Springtime was in the air, even if it was absent from his heart, and the contrast between the civilized streets of the city of brotherly love and the rough and ready roads he'd traveled between Montreal and here could hardly be greater. Mud was spattered on his stockings and boots that he doubted would ever wash out, and he had lamed 2 good horses in his headlong dash to deliver the news. He pulled this latest horse up short before the building, sliding with relief from the saddle and retrieving the bundle of letters. Though he was a gentleman, and accustomed enough to riding, the amount of time he'd spent on horseback in the past fortnight had left him stiff and sore, and ready for the comforts of a larder stocked with something better than the plain country food and cider he'd endured at the tables of back-country inns on the journey home. He tied the horse to the post provided outside of the grand state house where Congress had been meeting where he departed. Painfully mounting the steps toward the front doors, he asked of a boy who lounged there, "Does Congress sit within today?"
Nay, sir, but they'll come back tomorrow if there be business enough to engage them.
"Well, I've business to lay before them sufficient to gain their attention, I'll warrant. Might you know to whom I ought direct this packet?"
Aye, you could find the secretary taking his ease at the city tavern, back there a block, and down at 2nd Street. People usually bring correspondence there for his consideration.
"And what name should I inquire for within?"
Thompson, sir. Same as it's ever been.
"Thank you kindly, young sir," Isaac said, tipping his hat graciously. Ordinarily, he might have tossed the boy a penny or two for his trouble, but the trip had left him with a nearly empty purse, and he knew that he still had expenses before him. With any luck, the Congress would reimburse him, but based on the harsh and bitter comments he'd heard Colonel Arnold make about their fickleness in providing for the welfare of the troops, he knew that there was at least a good chance that he could expect no more than his salary, and even that was liable to be delayed for as long as Congress thought they could string him along.